Hi, Trevor here, reflecting on live stream music. Thank you for stopping by. Well, come in, you're very, very welcome. I trust you enjoyed my last video on Aussie bands, the Go-Betweens, and through this song right here, we looked at how good it is to have those words said when you're going through stuff, or when you say it to someone else when they're going through stuff. No matter, I'm going to be right here for you. Really amazing words. We're going from there to Los Angeles, a bunch of girls in 1978. Charlotte Coffey on lead guitar, Gina Stock on drums, Kathy Valentine on bass guitar, Jane Wyden on rhythm guitar, and Belinda Carlisle on lead vocals. Of course, when you mention those names, you know I'm talking about the Go-Gos. Now, I did a video on Belinda Carlisle a little while back. This is the band that gave her rise to fame. In the late 1970s in LA, we had the punk rock scene well and truly happening, of course, inspired by London with such bands as the Sex Pistols and The Clash. But as The Clash were discovering, things were changing, and we're getting into this post-punk era, and something else needed to emerge, and it was in that 1980 period that new wave started to become massive. Think of bands like Duran Duran in particular. Synthesizers were becoming big, the whole thing. The Go-Go's were instrumental in being one of the movers and shakers in that transition between the two. And it was in 1981 when the iconic Beauty and the Beast album came out that the world changed pretty much for music, and well and truly for the Go-Go's. These guys, you've got to remember, they write their own songs and they play their own instruments. This was unheard of in the early 1980s. In fact, when Beauty and the Beast got released, it was the first album for an all-female band playing their own instruments to go to number one. And it probably is one of those things that has not been actually been replicated ever since. This album stone was the cornerstone of the US New Wave era, as well as these guys, and Beauty and the Beast stayed at number one for 6 consecutive weeks. This album sold 2 million copies, so extremely significant album in the scheme of things, and who would have thought that the Go-Go's would be one of these guys that could do it. But you know what? They had the look, but more importantly, they had the grunt, and they had the vocal chops to be able to deliver some absolutely incredible songs. These guys are absolute legends. And of course, when you think about the Go-Go's, well, certainly when I think of the Go-Go's, the song I think of is Our Lips Are Sealed. I suppose it's a song I just want to focus on a little bit more today. Our Lips Are Sealed is all about, I don't care what they say about us. We're just going to keep doing what we're doing because our lips are going to be sealed. We're not going to speak. We're not going to give these guys any credit, anything at all. We don't care what they say about us. Our lips are sealed. Pretty amazing to be able to ignore public opinion around you to this extent when your partner is the most important person in the world, and you can ignore what people are saying. There's some real love there, and love kind of counters any of that negative talk that might be happening. People might say things like, oh, these guys are never going to make it, or the girl might get hit on by a guy, or the guy might get hit on by some girls the next minute, But no, these guys are absolutely into each other. Big time. But the concept of Our Lips Are Sealed, I think we can take this one step further. Of course, we can talk about relationships, and you never talk about your partner in front of anybody else unless it's a trusted person and you're seeking some wisdom from them. You never, ever do that. But our lips are sealed. Let's talk about keeping confidences a little bit today as well. So, someone says, look, I've got something to tell you, but you're not allowed to tell anybody else. I think one of the first things you've got to ask in that situation, hey, is this thing about you? If it is, well, yeah, trust me. If it isn't, that's gossip. And you say, hey, look, I tell you what, I probably don't need to hear that bit of news because you know what? You probably got told yourself not to share it and you are, so I just don't want to really be involved in that. And so, you can kind of put a stop to that pretty quickly. But as human beings, how much do we like a bit of tantalizing gossip? Just to show that we're in the crowd. Hey, we hear about that person. Wow. not good. I'm sure that person doesn't really would appreciate actually having stuff said about them behind their back, which is often the case. So if you are told something in confidence, keep it to yourself. Simple. Unless there's just some danger involved, like there could be some criminal act or could be someone is actually not safe right now. If there's safety issues, that's different. But if it's just a gossip thing, it's better not to hear it in the first place. But if you do hear it, don't pass it on to anybody else. In fact, you'd actually challenge the person to say, hey, look, I really didn't need to hear that. I really didn't need to hear that. And you can be the one that stops the gossip story from spreading, because gossip spreads so quickly and ridiculously that it becomes a bit of a thing. I don't know if you remember the Big Bang Theory. Sheldon and Amy did this very thing when they talked about making love, and within 5 minutes the whole group knew about it, because they were testing the group out to see what gossip was like, and well and truly alive and well. The gossip train does not take much to keep going. But what can we do to keep ourselves out of contributing to that? I think this is the challenge of today. So if you do get a bit of a sense that something's coming that, is not the person specifically, just say, hey, look, don't need to hear it. That's okay. Because, I still want to see the person in a positive light, and I don't want to actually, have my image changed because of that. So I think it's really important that we can kind of get gossip and stop it in its track. So I trust that, if you're in a relationship, don't ever gossip about your partner to somebody else. If you do need to have a talk to someone, it's got to be in a trusted, almost professional relationship, because the last thing you want is your partner's details all over the internet, all over social media, all over the group of people you hang around with. You've got to keep this stuff to yourself. And of course, the best person to talk to about issues you've got with your partner is your partner. Now, if you can't talk to them about this stuff, well, you've got to think of a way that how can I talk to them about this stuff? I really, really need to say this, son. And it probably all comes back to saying, I feel this. I feel a bit strange when you do that. But I don't really understand what you're doing, by the way. Help me to understand why you do what you do, and then take it from there. Of course, that relies on both parties actually having good measured conversational ability, and that doesn't always happen, as we know. So trust that'll be encouraging for you today. Our lips are sealed. It's quite funny, when I first heard this song, I thought it was Alice the Seal, or Honest to See You. It's funny how, when you listen to the lyrics, our lips are sealed. So we've got the official version of the Go-Gos right back at the start, and we've got a live version as well. Of course, if you go to a Go-Gos concert, this is the song you want to hear. And so it's good to see an official and live version. Now, how good are these girls on stage? That backing vocals are pretty good. And we all know how amazing Belinda Carlisle is on lead vocals, and she had a few number hits when she went on the side of career. Also off the album, Beauty and the Beat, We Got the Beat. This is a live version from 2001. There's nothing like saying, hey, guess what, guys? We've got the beat, whatever the beat is. Now, I talked about a little while ago about the song The Beat Goes On. Well, the Go-Gos were defining their own beat well and truly, and saying, well, whatever beat we're defining, we've worked out and we know what we're doing. So there's something quite compelling about their confidence. A live version from 2001. In 1982, out came the album of Vacation. This is exactly what it is, having a bit of a break. The Go-Gos were pretty big when they came out, so they were thinking about vacations as well. This song went into number 8 on the Billboard charts, and we got the official clip of that one. In 1984, we had Talk Show. We've got two videos from this album. We've got Head Over Heels, and we've got Turn to You. Head Over Heels is a live version again. It's pretty good to see these girls on stage and what they're capable of. Just look at the crowds in these videos and see that they're absolutely having an absolute ball. And then we've also got the official clip to Turn to You. There's nothing like having someone say, hey, you're my go-to person. You're the person that I go to when I need to go to someone. If you can be that trusted person in someone's life, it's a pretty cool place to be, as long as your lips are sealed. The Go-Gos then broke up after, 7 years. They pursued solo careers. And as I've talked about with Belinda Carlisle in particular, she was probably became most successful, having a few top 40, top 20, top 10 hits, including, Heaven is a Place on Earth and Leave a Light On For Me. And because I did talk about Belinda Carlisle a long time ago now, we talked about the fact that she's been with the same guy all her adult life. There's a pretty amazing love story going on there. They then have a bit of a break. I think, 7 years at the top is pretty compelling, particularly during that early 1980s period. But they did reform on and off, and then in 2001 out came the album God Bless the Go-Gos. Now, in their career, they had 4 studio albums, 3 compilation albums, 5 video albums, 11 music videos, and 16 singles. In 2011, they received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and 2021 they were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. There we go. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame got it. They understood the significance of the Go-Gos and the fact that these girls were all about girl power. Yeah, girls, because we're not guys, we can still shred a mean guitar, we can play drums, we can sing pretty well. We also look pretty good on stage, so, there's nothing stopping a band as good as these guys actually were. And I thought what I'd do is, because there's nothing like a really excitable fan to be the one that inducts the Go-Gos into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So I've got Drew Barrymore doing that very thing, and she cannot contain her excitement here of inducting her absolute idols into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. She does the first image on the album cover of the first album. She does that whole thing, and then we're also going into a bit of a live performance of the Go-Gos as well. So that one's there for you as well. So good on you, Belinda and the girls, for bringing girl power to the world and proving to the world that girls can do it just as well as guys can. And certainly in an era where, we're getting out of punk and into something else, that is exactly the right place at the right time. Because if you're going to be able to do girl power stuff, it was going to be after punk kind of finished, and then we moved into other things. And of course, pop, well and truly, is another thing that the Go-Gos were into. So the links to those, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 clips are in the description below. Well, 7 clips. And the link to my last video on the go-betweens is there if you want to recap on them as well. Well, if you come back for another one, or this is your first time to Life Reflections to Music, thank you to everyone for coming back, hanging around, or coming for the first time. I trust you found this encouraging today as you consider your ability to hear with confidence. So that's it for today. Next time we're going to go on to another 80s duo, Go West. So until then, I'll catch you around. Bye for now.